around the globe to top of the world. Foiling superstars to the sport's next generation. Whether it's majestic maxis or world-beating monohulls, offshore drama or inshore theatrics, the World Sailing Show is back with the ultimate lineup for 2023. We'll meet the sport's biggest stars, get to grips with the latest technology and innovations, and continue to lead the way on sustainability and inclusivity. We're here to keep you up to speed with all the action from sailing's most dramatic events and competitions. So hold on tight for the next 12 months as we hit the water for the ride of your life. A brand new destination, a race within a race, 7 legs, 11 boats, and crews from 19 nations. 50 years and 13 editions since it all began, the scene was set for the 32,000 nautical mile marathon that is the 2023 Ocean Race.
I'm so excited counting down here to the start in Alicante. It's been 5 long years since the last round the world race, and now we're here and it's unbelievable. The race we have ahead of us is going to be something for the history books, including the longest Southern Ocean leg ever in the history of this race.
Alongside 6 VO65s that will be competing in the Sprint Cup, 5 IMOCA foiling monohulls will be contesting the entire lap of the planet.
The difference between the previous ocean race and this one, it's quite obvious. The first one is that we've got an automatic pilot, which change a lot of things. You don't need a very fast helmsman anymore. You need people that are able to understand the boat and to make it go fast with the pilot to trim the boat. The second one will be only 4 on board compared to 8, 9 on board before that. So you will lose much more time on the sail change. You'll have to maybe to change a bit the way you take decisions. And the last one is that compared to 2014 and 2017, we are not one design anymore. So sometimes a boat will be faster than another one, depending on which sail he has, depending on the shape of the hull, depending on the shape of the appendages.
The VO65s on the Ocean Race, we are going to do only 3 legs. The first leg till Cape Verde, and then the last 2 legs from Harus till Genoa. The fleet is back to the origin of one design, so it's really tight racing. We have a lot of really good sailors on board all the boats, so it'll be very tricky. We'll have to be 100% pushing the boat all the time, no time for rest any time.
The curtain raiser to the main event saw both fleets take part in the Alicante import race, with the weather providing an unexpected challenge. Malizia emerged victorious in the IMOCA class, while Wind Whisper Racing took honours in the VO65 race, with the 5 other boats failing to finish inside the 15-minute time limit as the wind shut off and left them stranded.
We almost thought there was no racing possible today because the wind was so light. Just at the start when the wind picked up and we could just go foiling a little bit.
It's very strange to have this result, not with the other boats not finishing, but for us it's perfect because on this kind of days the good start, it makes a difference, so you start just a little bit in front of the others. And then just we were lucky, I think, with the wind.
That was to prove the calm before the storm, as the fleet made their final preparations for the first leg, the 1,900-mile sprint from Alicante to Cabo Verde, which promised an early gale-force battering with little time for rest or sleep.
They're going to be spicy these first couple days getting out of the bed. It looks like a generally pretty windy and fast leg to Cabo Verde. First kind of 36 hours look pretty tricky with like subtle frontal crossing and hugging the coast between some mountains. It should be pretty windy and pretty choppy, and I think you'll see some yacht preservation.
After Gibraltar, the wind slowly will turn around and push us from behind fast to the finish. That will be the prime time for the IMOCAs, foiling, flying in this 5 to 6 day leg.
Within hours of the start, the pummelling began with winds of almost 50 knots and brutal seas greeting the fleet at the exit of the Mediterranean.
It's been far from straightforward. Anything but, really. We've had multiple transitions, a lot of changes from the J0, which is obviously our biggest upwind sail, to the J3, which is our smallest upwind sail, and back again a couple of times. But actually we've sort of come out in quite good shape. We're leading the fleet, not much opportunity for rest. Motion on the boat's pretty heinous.
The crews on board the new IMOCA boats are essentially racing below decks with restricted visibility and no physical sensation of wind strength or direction. That made for an interesting challenge for Kevin Escoffier and the crew of Holcim as they fixed a rudder problem caused by the violent conditions.
We had an issue with the tiller and the port rudder, so we had to slow down in order for me to put it back.
Unlike their IMOCA counterparts, the VO65 crews are fully exposed to the unrelenting weather. Viva Mexico saw their hopes of victory in leg one disappear as they damaged their mainsail and were forced to divert to Almeria to replace it. Back out at sea, Wind Whisper led the other 5 VO65s with Mipuri Foundation and Team Jejo within 50 miles of them as they raced past the Canary Islands. In the IMOCA fleet, Team Goyo Environment was forced to make running sail repairs, which left them chasing the other 4 boats, disappearing ahead of them. After a brutal opening 48 hours, the foilers were making amazing progress, covering over 575 miles every 24 hours. Holcim PRB led the way as they headed south down the Atlantic, with 11th hour racing right on their tails.
Holcim, they were 30 miles ahead, closing down to 24. The wind's forecast to get lighter and head, which might put us on a different sail. If we can sail fast and then put our boat in the right place, then that's hopefully the winning combination.
Holcim PRB's advantage was to prove too much for 11th hour though, as Kevin Escoffier and crew held on to win the first leg, crossing the finish line into Mindelo on the island of São Vicente in a time of 5 days, 11 hours, 1 minute and 59 seconds.
It was worse than expected, for a first leg. I think it was definitely a tough one, and we had another boat against us that was pushing very hard as well. We had the wind, we had the condition, we had the boat, we had everything to do this great leg, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Just around 2 hours and 49 minutes later, 11th hour racing reached Mindelo to take second place, with Team Malizia back in third. Wind Whisper maintained her early margin to win the first leg of the VO65 Sprint Cup in just over 6 days, 1 hour and 11 minutes.
Within 24 hours of starting the ocean race, we saw 50 knots. So if that's kind of any indication of how this race is going to go, we're in for it. I wish we'd kept it together a little bit better. Boat's fast, certainly, which is great. We got to work on a bunch of other things, but the big thing now is just using the crew we have and the resources we have available to us to make sure we're in the best possible shape for the next leg.
To be honest, it has been very tough leg. At the beginning, especially the first 3 days, I think it was one of the toughest legs probably we sailed on the VO65s because we had a lot of wind, upwind and big waves. Luckily the boats are strong and the crew did a fantastic job, so very happy.
While the IMOCA and VO65 crews were busy out on the water in Alicante, another group of sailors were gearing up for their own major tournament back on dry land.
The E-Sailing World Championship is going to be hosted in a virtual racecourse here in Alicante. It's the climax of 8 months of competition where the top 10 e-sailers from the world have qualified. We've got 6 nations represented. We've got 12 races on various different classes of boats with ILCA, NACRA, F50, Ocean Racer, etc. So it's going to test the variety of skills of all the e-sailors as much as we possibly can.
As part of the finals experience, some of the virtual sailors got a taste of the real thing on board the Dutch flagged Jejo for the VO65 import race.
I think giving the e-sailors the opportunity to be part of the ocean race was amazing. I think it blends the two worlds of virtual and the physical world. You could see that they were just buzzing to be there. A lot of the people that they were on the water with have been their heroes for years, and many e-sailors are huge sailing fans, so it really creates a good relevance between e-sailing and sailing.
70,000 players had originally entered the year-long tournament, with the 10 best gamers making it through to the finals in front of a live audience.
You can tell when you've got the e-sailors in the same room, the physical presence they have and the competitive nature. Throughout the day you can see the pressure building and the atmosphere just grows and grows. If you're in a virtual situation, you don't get that byline, you don't get the camaraderie between all of the competitors. So it was a really different feeling this time, especially with the audience in the room, celebrating every single tack and jibe and mark rounding. Really interesting to see.
The competition produced some exciting and close racing, with Alex KRS holding a slender advantage going into the all-important medal race with double points on offer. There was still a chance someone could emerge from the fleet and overtake him, but he held on to finish third and claim overall victory by 9 points.
Alexandra Kolaski of France. Alex K crosses the finish line in his first ever World Championship final.
It's incredible. Before this race, I was wondering how can I fight in a difficult fleet with very good sailors. Made it to the medal race in a good position, and then I had a good medal race.
Super hard championship. We did have a little bit of connection issue to start off with. A bit of a roller coaster of emotions, as you can imagine. And then, yeah, went okay. Not as consistent as I would have liked to have been. Alex certainly did a better job of that, hence he won. But yeah, super happy.
It was just electric. Every single race, you didn't know what was going to happen. And because of the variety of the classes, you have different budding winners for every single race.
2022 drew to a close in traditional style with the 77th edition of the Rolex Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race. 12 months after Mark Bradford had skippered Blackjack to victory in the 2021 edition, a fleet of 109 yachts were back in the iconic Sydney Harbour for a race down the east coast of New South Wales and across the Bass Strait to Tasmania.
It's about 630 odd nautical miles of challenging conditions. It's about friendships that you form and you carry on for years during and afterwards. You know, I think it's a cornerstone of yachting for anyone who's an enthusiast.
For us, with the epic boat that we've got in Andu Comanche, with the amazing team of the best sailors we could find from around the world, there will be nothing short of a line honours victory in the Rolex Sydney to Hobart this year. That means anything but a win to us. Anything else won't do. It's first or last.
My expectations are that we're going to be pedal to the metal and blasting down the coast at really high rates of speed. It's going to be really fantastic.
As the race got underway, the four 100-foot maxis taking part duelled for the lead, with both Andu Comanche and Hamilton Island Wild Oats forced to do penalty turns. Behind the maxis came the rest of the fleet, including 20 two-handed entries who would be vying for the overall race victory. Heading out of the harbour and turning right for Hobart, Law Connect and Hamilton Island Wild Oats made the early running. Despite the early penalty, Andu Comanche, with John Winning Jr. at the helm, soon caught up and overtook their rivals to take the race lead. Comanche had claimed line honours in the 2015, 2017 and 2019 editions of the race and was not about to let the chance of a fourth Sydney Hobart title slip away. She couldn't quite beat her own course record, but ended up covering the 628 nautical mile course in a time of 1 day, 11 hours, 56 minutes and 48 seconds. Comanche reached Hobart 27 minutes ahead of second place Law Connect, with 2021 winner Blackjack back in third. In claiming a fourth race victory, Comanche also became the first boat to win under 3 different owners.
It's just quite incredible, really. It's a dream come true. We just set our expectations on this race as the Everest or the pinnacle of what we can achieve with the boat in Australia, and it's just amazing to be able to do it with my dad, with my friends. Obviously, the icing on the cake of an amazing year.
The maxis might have finished, but back out at sea, the rest of the 109-strong fleet was still chasing the overall handicap race victory. Sam Haynes and his Celestial crew had snatched defeat from the jaws of victory in 2021 when they were relegated from first to second place following a rules infraction. This time out, they were up against 11 other TP52s, including Caro, Warrior One and fellow Aussie boat, Guelo. But Haynes held on at the top of the leaderboard from the moment the fleet left Sydney to finally make amends for the disappointment of last year.
It's one of those things where we had a redemption story, or it vindicates like the boat's ability and our ability as a team. And coming number one in this race, if we'd come 15th or something, it would have felt very, very different about last year. But this has actually cleared that and given me a new start. It's a life changer. To win the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race is an absolute life-changing event for me. We're so lucky to be here, but we've earned it.
While the ocean race was getting underway in Alicante, SailGP was making its debut in Singapore with round 8 of season 3. New Zealand started the regatta with a 4-point penalty, having collided with the USA in practice. But Peter Burling's team claimed the first fleet race before Jimmy Spithill's 4-man crew won race 2 for Team USA. Following Switzerland's maiden SailGP victory in race 3, Denmark took honours in the last fleet race to earn themselves a place in the final, where they'd be racing against New Zealand and Australia.
Perfect start by all three boats. Sehested blasts out the middle of the line, but it should be New Zealand hanging on the inside, although it's going to be an absolute sprint into Mark 1. Can Sehested push hard enough to get over the top? Going to have to set up. It's going to need a bit of a dip. There's going to need to be a turn right at this mark, I imagine, Todd. Watch for the boats to set up. The wind's turned so much, they're going to be able to sail straight down the course. There you go, New Zealand. They read it first.
It is New Zealand at gate number 2, then the Danes, and then Australia.
There you go, Slingsby. That was the play. He needed to... Oh, they've missed the manoeuvre. They've missed it. Bad manoeuvre on board Australia. That's meters out the window. Halfway point in the race here, and that's a big advantage. Look, 100 metres ahead. It was nearly a 70-metre gain on that last leg for New Zealand.
So despite being down 4 points to start the regatta, it is New Zealand SailGP that comes to Singapore and walks away with a victory.
Triumph in Singapore means New Zealand move up to second in the championship standings behind Australia, with 2 events to sail. Over the past 5 years, the 11th Hour Sustainability Prize has become one of the most important categories of the annual World Sailing Awards. Last October, that honour went to Green Boats, a German boat builder founded a decade ago by Friedrich Daimann.
When I was 10 years old, I started sailing, and I was so impressed about boats, I decided very quickly to become a boat builder. But what I just didn't like at all was the material itself, because the glass and the carbon fiber, they are like really itchy in your skin. The resin systems are so unhealthy. I did a lot of research to find ways to combine the best of these 2 worlds, of this wooden boat building and this composite world. I found these materials like flex fiber and bio-based resin systems, which you can process in the same way from the composite industry. In 2013, I founded the company Green Boat. We develop technologies that enable us to build boats from natural fiber without losing performance and with the possibility to lower the footprint of the product.
From their base in Bremen, Green Boats are pioneering the construction of boats using sustainable materials. In 2020, they released their groundbreaking day sailor, the Flax 27, built using natural products instead of carbon fiber.
Starting with the Flax 27, where we showcased that it is possible to replace glass fiber reinforced composites. So the Flax 27 is 100% built from natural fiber. It's even 10% lighter than a normal GRP boat and got the beautiful aesthetic.
The success of the Flax 27 attracted the attention of Boris Herrmann. The German skipper decided to replace 50 carbon fiber parts on his Imoca Malizia with Green Boats technology. A decision which is undergoing the ultimate sea trial as the boat takes part in this year's ocean race.
He was really interested in the material and in the boat, and so we talked more and more about what can we do on the new Imoca out of those materials. And on top of that, the Imoca class changed their class rules and enabled 100 kilograms of sustainable material on board. Then it got really important to really showcase what our material can do in one of the harshest environments sailing can offer at this pinnacle event of the sport. So we worked closely with the team, developed different hatches and brackets for instruments and floorboards, and reduced the carbon footprint of the boat itself.
The Green Boats factory is now teeming with talented designers and skillful boat builders following their founder's vision.
The ethos of the company is really built on craftsmanship, and I believe a lot of the innovation and ideas are really coming from very talented craftsmen who has all these abilities and can create these beautiful products.
We have one side is the workshop, the other side is the office and R&Ds, and this is really motivating. You're coming out of the office, you just built a 3D model of something, you have some plans, give it into the workshop, and then 2 weeks later you see the finished product, and that's really amazing about what we're doing here.
Last October's Sustainability Award came with a $10,000 check, which we put towards further research and development within the company to help them create greener boats for the future.
We were sitting here with the team, looking the show, and award is always exciting because you never know if you get it. And then we got it, and it was amazing because it's winning an award.
Gives us more credibility in what we're doing. You have to imagine just a couple of years ago, people still viewed us mainly as a charitable project, and with this kind of award, of course, we get recognition, and also all the classes get encouraged to take action in making their products more sustainable.
There are so many fiberglass boats out there at the moment, and they are still produced in fiberglass. And there's a solution now. So I think helping with this transition and offering services to everyone who is interested, I think that's our biggest impact we can have for the sport.
The future of green boats will look like that we continue the development of our materials and technologies, and that we make the material accessible for the marine industry and beyond.
That's it for this month. But next time, the Ocean Race heads to Cape Town. And we meet the driving force behind the Maiden Factor.